Hello folks, thanks for joining us on our follow-up video with this suspicious chrome-plated polished Romeo 1. In our first video, we showed you 3 simple tests to work out if an X metal is genuine or not. Test number 1, we weighed the frame and found the suspect frame was heavier at 50 grams compared to a genuine frame at 37 grams. Heavier frames generally mean it's a fake. Test number 2, we inspected the frame in detail and found there were odd features everywhere that were inconsistent to a genuine frame. In test number 3, we brought out the secret weapon, our trusty old magnet, and we found the suspect frame was attracted to it. Now, genuine frames are made of a titanium alloy and never attracted to magnets, so this is a clear sign that something isn't right. With 3 out of 3 tests failed, we would normally end it here and call it a fake. However, this frame looks overwhelmingly convincing that it could be a genuine, despite the conflicting signs that we see everywhere. So, to be fair, we have to give it the benefit of doubt, and in this video we'll walk you through the detailed additional tests we did on this suspect frame. Genuine X metal frames are made from a titanium alloy. Although the secret alloy mixture is proprietary and probably deep within the vault of Oakley HQ at Foothills Ranch, we know for a fact that it behaves like titanium. So, if a material behaves like titanium, we can safely say the major component of that material must be titanium. But titanium is never attracted to magnets, and yet we showed this suspect frame followed magnets like crazy. So how can this be? The customer told us that the seller claimed this item was chrome plated. Now, chrome plating is the process of adding a very thin layer of chromium metal on top of a piece of metallic object to make it shinier and more durable. Although chrome plating cannot cause an item to be attracted to magnets, it is, however, a common practice to conduct 1 or 2 layers of nickel plating as an undercoat. Now, nickel plating is known to produce an item that will chase after magnets, and that is what this suspect frame is doing. So far, we cannot tell if it's chrome plated or not, but we can certainly say if it's a genuine article that has been plated, then nickel must be one of them. In our previous video, we left some clues for the keen-eyed viewers to do some detective work. Let's revisit those clues. If you were paying attention, you would see the suspect frame had a nose bridge that weighed 12 grams. The rims took the scales from 12 to 33, which meant they were 21 grams. And the ear stems took the scales from 33 to 50, which meant they were 17 grams. Likewise, for the genuine frame, the nose bridge weighed 11 grams. The rims took the scales from 11 to 25, which meant they were 14 grams. And the ear stems took the scales from 25 to 37, which meant they were 12 grams. Now, plugging those numbers into a ratio comparison, we can see that the nose bridge is 9% heavier, the rims were 50% heavier, and the ear stems were 41% heavier. If we look at these ratios, we can tell something isn't right. If the suspect frame was plated, then all 5 parts should be processed in the same way and yield similar thickness and a proportional gain in weight. Now, you may expect slight variances in the thickness and the weight of each part, but never a magnitude of 4 times the difference, like we're seeing here with the nose bridge compared to the ear stems. Assuming we believe that this is a genuine article and it has been plated, this means the nose bridge has at least 4 times thinner material compared to the other 4 parts. So something is very fishy. Now, as a professional plater, it doesn't make sense to use a set of processes for 4 out of the 5 parts on this frame, and then we treat the nose bridge with a completely different set of processes altogether. Now let's suppose the suspect frame is genuine and it was plated with nickel and possibly chromium. Now we can test this hypothesis in many ways, such as option A, we can run a chemical analysis and prove that there's nickel or chrome content on the surface. Option B, we can send it into a scientific lab for X-ray diffraction analysis or mass spectrometry analysis. Or option C, we can melt down a set of genuine frame, add some nickel to it, and make the whole thing exactly the same size as these suspect parts, and then we can compare the weights and see if they're the same. Although option A is fine, we're forbidden to damage the suspect frame, so that's out. Option B costs a king's ransom, so I guess we'll have to explore option C. Let's join us and melt down an X metal frame. No, don't be silly. We love X metals and we wouldn't dare to destroy one in the name of science. We can, however, achieve the same result if we hypothetically melted it down. So, to begin, we need to work out how much nickel has been plated onto the suspect piece. We measured 2 dimensions of the front tips of the ear stems, say the x-axis and the z-axis. If we compare the ratio of those measurements between the suspect parts and the genuine parts, we can work out that the suspect parts had between 6 to 7% more material in the x-axis and the z-axis. With that, we can safely assume the same percentage of material was also gained in the third dimension, which is the y-axis. Now, we said that genuine X metals behave like titanium, so that means genuine parts should have a material density approximately the same as titanium, which is 4.5 grams per cubic centimeter. If these ear-stems weigh 12 grams, then with a material density of 4.5 grams per cubic centimeter, the volume can be calculated as 12 divided by 4.5, which gives us 2.66 cubic centimeters. That is, if we melted down these ear stems, the ingot would approximately look like this. The ingot would have a dimension of 1 cm by 1 cm by 2.66 centimeters. We previously showed the suspect frame had about 7% more material in each dimension. So, by that account, the ingot for the suspect ear stems would be approximately 7% more in the x-axis, 7% more in the y-axis, and 7% more in the z-axis. So the dimensions for the suspect part as an ingot would look like 1 cm by 1.07, 1 cm by 1.07, and 2.66 centimeters by 1.07. Put it all together and we've worked out the volume of the suspect ear stems to be 3.258 cubic centimeters. If we calculated the difference of the volumes between the suspect parts and the genuine parts, we can precisely work out the difference to be 3.258 minus 2.66, which gives us 0.598 cubic centimeters. This means the suspect part has 0.598 cubic centimeters more material than the genuine parts. Now, with 0.598 cubic centimeters of more material, how much weight would that add to our piece? If this material was nickel, we can multiply this volume with the density of nickel, which is 8.91 grams per cubic centimeter. Doing so, we can work out exactly how much weight that nickel would add, which is 5.33 grams. This means if we had a set of genuine ear stems and added 5.33 grams of nickel to it, it would produce a thicker set of ear stems that would be identical in size to these suspect parts. But would it weigh the same? With 12 grams of original parts plus 5.33 grams of nickel, that would give us a total of 17.33 grams. Our suspect parts were shown to weigh 17 grams, which is reasonably close enough. So, this hypothesis is actually plausible, that these parts, the suspect parts, could potentially be genuine and potentially be plated with nickel and or chromium. So that takes care of the ear stems. Now, if we apply the same hypothesis to the rims and the nose bridge, we can see the rims were 50% heavier, which is close enough to what happened to the ear stems being 40% heavier. So this means the hypothesis is also plausible with the rims. As for the nose bridge, we should also expect it to weigh at least 40% heavier as well. However, we showed it was only 9% heavier, so this means one of two things. Either the nose bridge is not genuine, and it was plated with the same thickness of nickel just like all the other parts, or the nose bridge is actually genuine, but it was plated with a very thin layer of nickel, between 1 and 2% by volume. Now unfortunately, the nose bridge is inconclusive as our measurements were too inconsistent with thicknesses that varied between 0.7% and 7.8% by volume. Let us continue with the theory that these are genuine parts and it has been plated with nickel at the very least. It would certainly explain why the frame is much heavier at 50 grams, why it is generally thicker and chunkier, and why it is attracted to magnets. But it still doesn't explain a few of the oddities we showed you in our first video. For starters, the ear sock regions on both ear stems are much thicker. The ear stem tips are much thinner, especially after plating. With more materials, you should expect this to be thicker, not thinner. There are inconsistencies with the nose bridge only weighing 9% heavier, whereas all the other parts on the suspect frame weighed at least 40% heavier. And lastly, the mystery of the black coating in the lower regions of the frame is not possible with any plating processes at all, if the aim of the plating was to achieve a polished mirror finish like we see here. We've given a fair assessment of the frame and presented the facts to you as we see it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, till next time.